イツインペリテリもギタリストですが、こちらもギタリスト、リッチー・サンボラのセカンドソロアルバム「Undiscovered Soul」がいよいよ17日にリリースになります。インタビューをね、ロサンゼルスで実は撮ってきたんですよ。早速リッチー・サンボラのインタビューをご覧ください。
The name of the record is Undiscovered Soul. Well, actually, it was a title that I had way before I started writing, and it was interesting because it was actually the last song I wrote, so it took me like 29 songs to get to that particular song. I had this title, Undiscovered Soul, and I as a musician, as an artist, I tried to communicate, and I try to find common ground between myself and the listener and the fan. So Undiscovered Soul, I think there's a lot of us out there. I think everybody has a point in their life where they're trying to find out who they are or what they want to do with their life. So we all have a common ground in that. And as a solo artist, I think that I'm very much undiscovered. People know who I am with the band Bon Jovi. So I think as a solo artist, I'm very much undiscovered. And I think that I found that common ground with a lot of people. Because there's a lot of people out there wondering what they want to do. In all walks of life, not just as a musician. That's right, yeah. That's right. My wife just gave birth to our first baby, Ava, on the 4th, and I'm sure I'll be discovering a lot about childhood and about myself throughout that. Absolutely. Actually, no. I started to write this record probably a little bit right around last summer. Right around June of last summer. Bon Jovi went on a massive stadium tour from, I guess it was June to July. And after that, I knew that I was going to be making this record, John, and I said that, both of us, we just had two very successful records in a row. The Crossroads records, which did like 17 million records now. So these days did 10 million records. We did a gigantic stadium tour. And we decided that we were going to take a 2-year break in that period of time, and we were both going to do solo records and stuff like that. So I started writing a little bit before that. So it came right in the middle of my writing. Yeah, absolutely. I think that what basically happens is that when you're in a relationship that is a happy one, or if you're in a relationship that is an unhappy one, those feelings are going to creep into your unconscious or conscious mind as you write the songs or whatever you want to do. So I'm sure that my wife and my unborn daughter at the time of the writing and at the time I was creating the music was creeping in all over the place, and unconsciously and consciously. I haven't as of yet. I really haven't. I thought that for some reason I just felt that was going to be the title of this record. The same thing happened with my last album, Surgery in the Sand. For some reason I just knew that was going to be the title of the record. But baby, don't you know, we'll keep holding on through the day. No, actually, I think that what comes out of you, I'm that kind of artist that really tries to portray himself honestly. My last record was a very bluesy, murky, kind of mysterious record, and I think that's kind of like where I was in my life at that point. The last solo album I made was 1990, and at that point in time, I wasn't sure that Bon Jovi was still going to be a band. I came off the road, being on the road for about 3 years without really a house or a home to go to or a relationship at that time, and so I was in a very bluesy, murky position. So I think that record came out that way. This record, on the other hand, is much more grounded and stable. It's much more of a happy time in my life. I have a great relationship with a lady that I'm very much in love with, and I guess it must have came through. That definitely comes through stuff. I guess it comes from the urge once again of me trying to really become friends with people through my music. It's a very important part to try to really communicate where I am as a musician, so people can really latch themselves on. Hopefully they'll find some relatable substance in what I say.
今年はね7年間連続で続いたクリスマスの恒例のチャリティーコンサートがニュージャージーで行われないということなんですね。どうやらそれはまあジョン・ボンジョビ映画で忙しいってこととリッチー・サンボラのこのソロアルバムのプロモーションということもあるんじゃないかと思うんですけどね。まあでも今度のこのセカンドソロアルバムはねすごい渋いアルバム、それはやっぱりミュージシャンとして成熟してね、自分のソングライティングにものすごい地に足がついてるっていうのかな、そういう感じを僕は印象で受けたんだけど、さて、インタビューのパート2をご覧ください。こちらのインタビューです。
Yeah, I think that's an important part. I mean, it's almost like kind of like introducing yourself. Hi, this is what I'm about. A song like Made in America is very, very much autobiographical. Yet, I try to, conjure up points in everybody's life. I think that's not only that would be, conducive to what an American would go through, but also what anybody all over the world would go through, like the points in your life where you're leaving the nest, or you're leaving your parents, things that happen to everybody in their life as they grow up. It's scary when you do that kind of stuff. Things that are happier days when you're in high school and you're in your school days, and everything's kind of like, you don't have too many cares in the world. But if you keep your chin up, you land on your feet. That's kind of like what I went through. It's almost like a modern-day success story in a way. I mean, I'm a kid from a dead end in New Jersey, grew up and my dad worked in a factory, and I end up, in one of the biggest rock bands in the world, and marrying Heather Locklear. So I'm like living proof that you keep your chin up and your optimism high and your faith going, that you full of people. Still happening in the world. But I kept on hanging on, and every night I pray to Jesus. Well, on this record, what I did with this particular Japanese release, it's actually coming out sooner in Japan than it is anywhere else in the world. Nippon Polygram asked me, because I just had some success with Takashi Tomashi on the TV show. It became quite a fluke. The record company just asked me to get together with Takashi, write the song, and perhaps do a duet. And I said, well, I was open to it, but I wasn't really too keen on the idea at first. But then I met Takashi, and I really liked him, and the song was, came out pretty well. And it was the theme of this TV show where I hear, I'm not really sure, it's a big hit in Japan, obviously. Huge hit, well, knock on wood, that's good. Hopefully what I was hoping that would, it would be a good start for my new record. And that's what we're hoping. I got this record completely together sooner than I expected it to be for the Japanese public because, well, quite frankly, I mean, Japan was the first place that Bon Jovi really ever broke. Well, this particular, the way the record exists now, it really is for Japan itself. I'm not sure, I have the luxury now of, I don't have to release this record until February here in the States, so now for the next few months I have a chance to actually take a look at the record and see if I want to change it at all, or add any new songs, or add any new physical parts, so there might be part 2 right around the corner. But right now, this record is explicit in its actual. Well, you know what? I'm not really sure. What I tried to do is, because I honestly rushed it to get it together for the Japanese people, is that I tried to. There's a lot of talking and stuff, and there's a lot of antidotes. When I talk about funny stuff, there's a lot of different funny antidotes, and actually legendary people like Don Was is legendary producer, and Ed Cherney, the engineer, and all the different musicians that played on this record actually were, conversing with each other and joking around and stuff. So you got a chance to see actually where the songs were actually coming from. I wanted to bring the people into the recording process because it was a lot of fun. We had a really good time recording the record with the personnel that we had on this record between Billy Preston and Chuck Leavell and Rami Jaffe and Tino Palladino, Don Was. Myself, a guy by the name of Mark Goldenberg on guitar. I played with Jackson Brown for many, many years. So I looked around at the talent in the room, and I just went, wow, this is kind of a happening. And I think all of us looked around and went, this is really pretty, an amazing amount of good musicians. I think if anybody tallied up the records that we all were responsible in that little studio for that week and a half. probably be close to about 500 million. You know, I mean, that's not, I'm not being facetious. That's yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, hopefully, as a musician or as a record maker, every time you go into the studio and make a record, you're going to become better. You're going to evolve a little bit. I'm always the kind of guy that looks at going into a recording studio as like a bit of college, like I'm learning something new. And then when you couple that with, I had like Grammy-winning engineers that I was working with the whole time on this record, the Grammy-winning musicians, and just the greatest guys that I could find in this particular area right now here in Los Angeles. So it totally was an evolutionary process. I think that music is a very communicative language. Even it starts out as a communication. When I don't know how to make records with machines. I like to make records with personalities and people's hearts and souls, like conversing with music, and that's what I think we do. People going, hey, how about this? Throw it over to that guy. He throws it to the next guy. It comes back. So it was actually, a beautiful experience. We really had a good time. So I just want to let people in on that.
見ていただいたのはですね、ボンジョビのギタリストリッチー・サンボラ17日にリリースするアンディスカバルソウル、長いインタビューでまた来週もねパート2紹介しようと思っていますけども、さっきも言ったようにすごいメンバーなんでね、リッチも言ってたけどね、そうそうたるミュージシャンが集まってる、ハードロックサイドのミュージシャンじゃないんでね、ロックサイドのメインストリームサイドのすごいミュージシャンなんだ。ジャックはオールマン・ブラザーズなんかにいたしね、シーレベル、それからもちろんねビリー・プレストンなんていうのはもうストーンともやっていろいろなミュージシャン、ドン・ワーズはストーンのプロデューサーでもあるし、すごい人たちが参加しているアルバムではあるんですけども、さて、このね、リッチー・サンボラの発売をセカンドアルバムの発売を記念してトレーナーをレコード会社作ったんですね。ワンポイントですか。はい、これをね3名の方にプレゼントします。こちらの先まで申し込んでください。リッチー・サンボラのトレーナー係と書いてくださいね。はい、3名の方にプレゼントします。ベストビデオも書いてくれるといいんじゃないですかね。で、新しいビデオまだ到着していませんということで、91年の彼の初めてのソロアルバムから、こちらのビデオを見ていただくことにしましょう。ポケットはね、なんか17日発売って作品が多いんだよね。クリスマスの前に出そうと思ったんでしょうかね。今日リリースになったアルバムの一つ、それが、ボンジョビのリッチー・サンボラのセカンドソロアルバム「アンディスカバード・ソウル」、まだ見ぬ魂を求めてなんてね、先週リッチー・サンボラも言ってましたけどね。早速リッチー・サンボラのインタビューをご覧ください。どうぞ。
This was just got real good. Richie is probably one of the most talented writers I've ever written with, and John and I, of course, have a wonderful chemistry, and we always seem to be able to get our songs across. It's a very special thing when two people can get together or three people can get together and actually, sit down and see the same goal and see the same vision. So Richie and I just, the first day we wrote together, we wrote two phenomenal songs, Downside of Love and Harlem Rain, in one day. And I just went, well, gotta keep this up. And we actually wrote about 30 songs, I think, for this record. So there's like a whole slew of other stuff that's not on this record, so there'll be more coming. Yeah. It was quite a fertile, creative time. Following this conscience in a world full of extremes. Yeah. Well, hopefully not. I mean, you don't want to ever kind of alienate the Bon Jovi fans, but also I think as a solo artist you need to have your own identity. So that's very, very important. I think that another thing that I long for in my heart is that I'm able to coexist with this, big, grandiose Bon Jovi thing that we have happening all over the world. I mean, every time we come out, we sell 10 million records for the past 10 years. I think we're up to about 80 million records now worldwide in our careers, that's a great big kind of, big thing. So hopefully with this record I'm bringing my personality out, and I really hope that people can get a grasp on my own identity and my own reality. Right before we started this record, it was pretty funny. I've always admired Don's work, I've always thought he was a fantastic producer. Of course, he's won many Grammys, and he's responsible for, producing the likes of Bob Dylan, of course, Elton John, Rolling Stones. I mean, you name it. Bonnie Raitt. I mean, all of them selling millions and millions of records and being wonderful albums. So I wasn't sure exactly who was going to produce this record, but actually a friend of mine from another record company actually lived close to Don, and he said, man, you should meet this guy Richie Sambora. He's got some really good songs. And he said, all right, sure, I will. So one day he just, invited me over to the house, and I showed up. And even before I played on my tape, we just sat down, and we come from the same generation, we're around the same age. So we just started talking about our philosophies and music and, our backgrounds and different things like that. And we found out that we were very, very close to one another, and we became automatically really good friends. And then when I played him my tape, he looked around and went, "Is that you?" He wasn't familiar with my work, actually. Well, he was expecting the guitar player from Bon Jovi and the guitar player. And as far as, what America really knows about me as an artist, that I'm kind of tattooed with that label, the guitar player, So no one knows I can really sing and all that other stuff. So this was it was a big surprise to him, and he was very, very anxious to, hopefully, he goes, man, we should let the world know that you're an artist, a complete artist. And I go, well, will it help me? And he said, yeah. So it was there's not really a concept to it. It's just, I think, like I said, my goal was to make it a clearer record, to bring people in focus to Richie Sambora, what my feelings were about, and hopefully find a relatable strand, some common ground between me and the listener and my fans, and to go, hey, I feel like that too. I've been through that. I've been through that. I know what he's saying. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I think that's the real important thing with this record. So it's more or less a communication. I think it's like reaching out my hand and say, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Richie Sambora. I hope that we can be friends through music.
今日リリースになったリッチ・サンブラの「アンディスカバード・ソウル」ミスタービッグのポール・ギルバートのソロツアーはついに決まりましたけどもね、前回アメリカだけで実現したこのボンジョビのリッチ・サンブラのソロコンサートが実現するかどうかっていうのはポイントだと思うんですけど、英国のケラングという雑誌には、98年中には、ボンジョビのニューアルバムのレコーディングを始めるというジョン・ボンジョビのコメントが載っていましたんで、その辺の兼ね合いじゃないかなって気がしますけどね。新しいアルバムからのビデオはまだ到着していませんということで、ファーストからのビデオ、今回はこちらのビデオを見ていただくことになりました。